today we're having a very remarkable guest with us. His name is Sascha and he's from Ampverse company. Hello Sascha.
Hi Elena, very nice to meet you. I'm Sascha from Ampverse. I'm working for esports and talent company, the biggest one in Southeast Asia, and I'm super happy to be here.
Oh, it's so great. Well, could you please tell us a little bit more about your company and your background? How did you start your journey in cryptocurrency ocean?
That's a good question. Actually almost two different questions. So I started my crypto journey around 6 years ago, when the market was still very small and everything was about crypto payments. I worked for a company called Dash. It's like a Bitcoin fork, and everything was about payments and finance, unbanking, that would be the hottest topics back then. Now I'm working for a company called Ampverse. I'm actually an early stage investor also in Ampverse. Ampverse started as an esports and talent company and is now on the way to transform more into Web3 step by step.
Let's get into details. I'd love to ask you about Ampverse. I want to know more about the company and what are you doing and what's your purpose?
Good question. Ampverse, as I said before, is like the esports and talent company. My position is head of Web3, which has actually nothing much to do with esports and talent, but now gaming and cryptocurrencies are merging at the moment, so also Ampverse decided to transform step by step into Web3. That's where I come in place. That's my position for Ampverse, getting out of traditional gaming and esports more into Web3 gaming. So we have a little spin-off in Ampverse itself called Ampguild. It's our community with players. We find the players out of the community, they're hunting for prize money, they're winning tournaments, etc. etc. So it's like Ampverse and Ampguild.
Well, what kind of role Ampguild has in Ampverse ecosystem?
Yeah, it's more or less like the Web3 version, a mini version of Ampverse. We started mainly with gaming, with esports, because that's also the core business of Ampverse. So, Ampguild, as I said, it's kind of the Web3 version of Ampverse. So we also wanted to start with esports and gaming, but that will be just our beginning of our Web3 journey from Ampverse. And so the difference between the gaming and Ampverse and Ampguild is that at Ampguild people can earn on-chain rewards, the tournament payouts are directly on the blockchain, that kind of things, like that games have NFTs instead of like normal in-game items, so that's probably the main difference in the basics.
I'm personally interested in players, like do they come into Web3 from outside, like, or they let's say convert from traditional way of gaming into...
It's probably a bit of both, but actually I think it's more like crypto fans and blockchain fans becoming kind of gamers. Probably the majority, but also like a lot of like hobby gamers or people who played like League of Legends or PUBG before when they've been maybe younger, or World of Warcraft, and are now more interested in cryptocurrencies, and they say, oh, there's another way of gaming, so that makes it interesting for them. So many people it's a kind of reinvention of gaming, and brings new people in, but old people get into it again. So it's a kind of a mix, I would say.
I'm really curious into your personality, like putting business aside. Could you please tell us a bit more about your personal journey in the industry, how you started and how you developed as a professional?
Good question. I mean, I came into the industry hearing about Bitcoin. It sounded quite interesting, so I wanted to learn more about it. Back then there didn't been much exchanges existing and not much information about it. So, but I find it interesting. It was something new. I always like new things, so I get bored very fast. So and then I understand step by step more about the economics behind. I invested in it. Prices went up, then you get obviously even more excited about it. So you have to feel, that's the right thing I did here. Then the first couple of years I was mainly interested like in payments and unbanking. But then as the industry developed and more people came in and cryptocurrencies start to disrupt many different industries. So I got more interested in, for example, decentralized finance. That was a big topic for me the last couple of years. I was like a liquidity provider for many different blockchains and projects. And as I'm interested in games and sport like for a while, and I have friends in the industry, so I was investing in Ampverse, the company I mentioned before, a couple of years ago. And as they start getting interested in cryptocurrency, so I said, okay, let's match my two passions and start more working closer with them. And here I am.
So building relation between your passions. It's great. Sounds very interesting. So, as we established earlier, Ampverse is a company which is based on gaming, esports, and talents. How Web3 is going to influence the industry? What is your vision?
Good question. I mean, there are different angles, right? Like, I mean, when I look at my daily work, I mean, I told you before, we in Guild especially, like trying to win tournaments, right? Hunting for prize money. In the past, there have been many frauds, like tournament hosts didn't pay out the players who won, etc., etc. So now, having like the tournament hosts, like community gaming, the name of one of the tournament hosting platforms, have smart contracts, so the tournament payouts can be automatically, so no fraud possible anymore.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean that's good for the players and I mean good for everyone. It makes it more fair and more trustworthy. And I mean, talking about fraud, another example is in-game items, right? For gamers, they like to buy skins or weapons in the game to be more successful, to be better, or like to show how successful they've been in the past, right? They've been bought and sold on marketplaces, and also there have been a lot of fraud because you can kind of copy and paste that items, not as easy as it might sound, not as easy as copying a JPEG or a Word document, but it was possible. But at the blockchain with like the NFT technology, it's not easy to do that anymore, right? Because everything is written on the blockchain, you have transaction IDs, you can prove that that's really the original NFT or game item as an NFT. Right?
So if you purchase it, you have very more, like it's more reliable and
it's a guarantee. It's more secure. It's a guarantee that it's the original, because you want to have the original, right? And just saying, like if you want to buy the Mona Lisa and you pay the money for it, you want to make sure it's the original, right?
Right. Yeah. And last question from me: what do you think? Where is Web3 heading now? So what do you think foresee in the future?
That's the question everyone is asking, right? So it's always like this new industry is like a lot of possibilities, a lot of opportunities coming up, and at the end, I think the communities, like the fans, the consumers, the clients, however you want to call them, like they will decide where it goes exactly. I mean, at the moment, many companies trying to find their path into Web3, as Ampverse is doing it as well. Also, other companies as Facebook. You probably know they changed their name from Facebook to Meta just recently because they bought already years ago Oculus, like the VR company. So everyone believing it goes in that metaverse direction, more in the Web3 direction, a new internet is coming. But no one really know how it looks exactly. I think it's similar than, let's say, 10 or 20 or 30 years ago when the internet started and had that evolution from Web 1 into Web 2 into Web 3. No one really knew what it is, what kind of apps or application websites coming out of it. So let's say it will be exciting times. Yeah? But I know from talking with friends and colleagues in different industries, everyone is looking into Web3 and try to not miss out on the next trend. And that,
it's interesting. It's like that synchronization is saying everything about Web3. Because there is no one creator who has some idea. There are so many people and they bring their ideas together, build something incredible, which is waiting for us in the future.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And that's a good part. I mean, it's people build something in that metaverse, right? If you look at Roblox, it's not really Web3, but it's kind of a metaverse. If you look at Sandbox, it's not just that they publish games and here, please play it. It's like people have the chance to create their avatars in that world. They have the chance to create their games in that world. And it seems like for the new generation, like we call them Gen Z, I think it's, for them it's very interesting.
As a professional, maybe you have a personal advice to very young guys who are playing games and what may be their way, how to engage with your company, how to get to the community and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, first is really joining our community. It's called Guild. We are on Discord, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, on all social media. They can join. Usually you start first as a community member, right? But then you can start playing in our tournaments, and if you get better, if you're successful, we start maybe supporting you or sponsoring you even till you can become a pro player. And I mean, with the Web2 games like League of Legends, PUBG, it's very difficult to get really to the pro level because so many people playing it already, right?
Yeah.
But with all the Web3 games, it's still like a younger industry. So it's a good time to start now, right, to get into it, and I think you can get faster into that new Web3 games. They're maybe not as fancy, not as nice developed, not as beautiful skins, etc. as like in the Web2 games. But yeah, it's easy to start with it and just get the feel for it. And the start is always joining the community, ask questions, find new friends, find new people in that community.
It's the best to develop like with the industry at the same pace and
Exactly,
you'll be on the top.
Yeah.
So guys, don't miss out the chance to join the community.
You're not too late, you're not too late, guys.
It's the right time to do that. Well, today we were at a very interesting conference, and apart from that, on 14th and 15th of December, we're going to have a really big event which is called Ampverse. And I believe you are going to speak there, right?
I mean, I was at the event you just mentioned. I was yesterday and I was speaking there, and I met a couple of people from Meta Ventures, and actually my colleague from my previous company was also speaking. I think last year or at the beginning of the year there was Meta Ventures in Phuket, and I heard only good things. So I would be very excited to speak at Meta Ventures in December.
Yeah, fantastic. Then we'll see each other at Meta Ventures for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And don't forget, guys, subscribe at Gagsty to watch more interviews like that. Bye, guys.